Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. It is that time of the weekend to get into a price prediction for AMC. Now, if you guys have not seen the last video, essentially what we're seeing on a technical basis, how AMC is performing around the 50-day moving average, historically when this has happened in the past, 5 out of 6 times the stock has went up almost 100%, sometimes 200-300% after we break out above that moving average, and we've been finding a lot of support at that moving average over the whole entire last week. No matter if the Nasdaq was down 1.5% or hardly down, AMC found a way to bounce at that moving average. So let's get into some of the other data that you might need to know heading into this week if you plan on trading AMC, or really just put blankly an AMC price prediction of where I think AMC can go. And most importantly, I do want to give you guys my outlook on how I want to trade this, because the strong historical data here makes me want to trade it, right? That's the degenerative, side of the markets, and where the risk to reward lies with AMC makes a lot of sense. So I don't blame anyone else for trying to play AMC, whether it's shares, options, doesn't even matter at this moment in time. So let's get into it, guys. And I just gave you guys the backstory of kind of what we're setting up for, and just to show you guys on the chart what I mean. When AMC is under its 50-day moving average, that's obviously not a good thing. But when AMC breaks above it and finds support at it, like you seen back here before the January rally, even in 2021, right? You were under it, not good, just pretty much going straight down. Came up, found resistance, then you found support for a couple days, and then you absolutely went parabolic, went up like 10x, right? And you guys pretty much understand that by now. And what happened back here before the June rally? Well, same thing. The stock was selling off under its 50-day moving average, came up, found resistance, and then broke out above, and that became support, and then the stock again 10x in value. Over here, same story. Found resistance a little bit, found support, continued to go higher. This was the smallest one, about 15%. So take it for how it is. That was a smaller one. Now, even back here in March of 2022, same thing, same deal. You're finding downtrending resistance around this 50-day moving average. We couldn't even get to it. It was very bad for AMC around this time as well in 2022. And then you finally flushed to the downside, and then you started to make this move up. Once you broke the 50-day moving average, you rallied from that break of the 50-day to the peak. You rallied about 102% in the course of, and this is key, the day we broke the 50-day moving average in March was March 22nd. The day we hit the peak was March 29th. So these rallies typically last about 1 week, and a lot of the rally is really concentrated in 1 or 2 days, right? This day AMC went up 44%. The price was higher. So adjusted for, essentially the split and the dilution that has happened in AMC, the stock went up about $5.59. So if that happened right now, that would be very, very big. And same story back here with the 50-day moving average. You were finding a lot of resistance. You broke out above. You got this breakout. It was really a false breakout, because then you did trend back down lower, but you never broke the 50-day moving average. You started to trend up higher, and that was a very positive buy signal. And the first break of the 50-day you've seen was on July 7th. The peak of this rally was on August 8th. So about 1 month, but most of this rally, really all of this rally, happened from August 1st until August 8th. So it's usually about 5 to 7 trading days worth of a rally, with 1 day really concentrating a lot of its move. But same story back here, guys. If you want to go from this break of the 50-day or support over here at the 50-day, they're pretty much the same. So we'll just go in the middle of the 50-day, and from the low from the break of the 50-day up until the high on August 8th, you went up about 112%. So that was very strong and indicative, right? Same thing over here. Just recently, September, you found resistance around the 50-day moving average, got rejected, sold off. It got pretty bloody. And what has happened now? Boom, you popped up, you got this little false breakout, found resistance around the 100-day, came back down to the 50-day. What do you find happening in here? It's pure support at that 50-day moving average. Typically, like I just showed in history, with AMC, you tend to fucking rally like crazy after you get that break. And from my perspective here, 50 to 100% kind of looks like it's on the table from here. And 100% from here would be roughly putting the stock back at about $15 per share. So I think that is a good case scenario for potentially this week. A lot of this will depend on possibly how the markets take the FOMC minutes on Wednesday. I don't think there's going to be a whole lot of movement in the broad markets this week, because typically holidays season from like this period until the end of the year, typically it's very bullish because there's very low volume, and you don't tend to see a lot of people trading around the holiday seasons. A lot of people go off to vacations, visit family, whatever the case is. Nonetheless, if we do get that break, this could actually be something that is pretty big. And why I say that is because if you look at this trend line that I have drawn from the peaks of all of the rallies we have seen in AMC since essentially September of 2021, so 14 months ago now, you can see it's descending, right? 1, 2, 3, 4 peaks, straight descending. If you get above, that $11, $12 level here, you're going to be breaking a long-term trend of declining. And that could, in and of itself, spark one of these V-shaped kind of rallies, potentially in a very big way. And that even, as far as algorithmic trading programs are concerned, they could actually start trading the stock and buying the stock. And it might cause a decent amount of shorts to cover on their short positions, as well as an obvious gamma squeeze at that moment in time. So there is all of that. Another thing that really stands out to me as well, something you guys already know about, is the rally we usually get off of AMC earnings. So basically, every single time AMC reports earnings, you rally after earnings. Basically every single time. Not the day of, not the next day, but the following 2 to 4 weeks. The only time since even before June that AMC has not rallied massively after earnings was back here in November of 2021. And you guys can see the E right here, that stands for earnings. Earnings here on May 6th, and the stock obviously peaked out June 2nd, very bullish. Back here in August 9th, we had earnings. The stock peaked out September 13th, much higher. And then November, that's the fluke one. Even back here in 2022, you got back in March, earnings were reported March 1st, peaked out at March 29th, right? 2 to 4 weeks tends to be a good, entry moment after earnings, after the initial sell-off, and that's usually when you're getting the peak of that rally. Back here August 5th, same thing. The stock had earnings, continued to go much higher, and this time looks to be no different, right? You bottomed right before earnings, right after earnings actually, and then it's been up ever since. So that is really, kind of what I'm expecting. I'm not going to sit here and say that I expect $15 per share this week, because how could anyone forecast that strong of a rally? But if we hold support at the 50-day and we break out above the 100-day, then you're probably going close to, $10, $11 per share, in my personal opinion. This is a shorter trading week, so do keep that in mind because of the holiday season. Now, one thing that I would caution you guys with is trading AMC. Now, I know everyone, including myself, does want to trade this with options. Now, options can work if you are very strict, and I tend to be very strict as well, and I'm going to give you guys that framework of kind of what I would look for to either confirm the rally or confirm that the stock's probably going back down. And It's all obviously no guess with the 50-day moving average, but the key is if the stock goes substantially under its 50-day, let's say you had this red candle, right? This red candle we had November 14th that breaks under the 50-day and you just put an options trade on, that's not a good sign. And that is where I would personally cut losses on any trade. But that's what's beautiful about the shares is you get dollar for dollar. You don't have to trade options and lose money on options, and you could still catch a very, very big rally. So that's the best way to look at it. Really, the one thing I'm looking at to signal this rally really has a lot of steam and can continue to go higher and really juice up some of those premiums is the break above the 100-day moving average and how the stock reacts to that. Like you've seen back here, this was a clean break November 11th and then on Monday, November 14th. You want to see the stock, it'll probably get resistance around the 100-day for a day, and then you want to see the stock open above that moving average and continue higher. If that happens, it could be a good bet to go a little bit bigger in some of those trades. But obviously, I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not a fortune teller. I don't have a crystal ball or anything else along those lines. So take it with a grain of salt. Do what you guys please. Now, as far as AMC and the Ortex data, I do want to run through this for you guys as well if you are unfamiliar with what these numbers look like, because they do look really, really good. So for this Friday, for the option expiration of November 25th, 67.73% of the open interest is calls, 32.27% is on the put side. So there's a lot more calls than puts, long story short, on the options chain. Now, when you look at the live short interest, the last numbers we got was around 44%. Some of the earlier numbers that day was around 96%. So it's very volatile, and shorts are feeling a lot of pressure on that front as well, because a lot of these loans, like I've said many times, are adjustable rate, and they can kind of vary, especially if these are hedge fund to hedge fund positions, right? Retail doesn't make up a lot of the portion of the 500,000 shares available, as you see right here, to sell short of AMC. It's typically not going to be retail investors that are lending out stock. It's typically going to be hedge funds and institutional investors. And they want that adjustable rate. When risk goes up, they want to get paid out more, and that's exactly what you are seeing. Now, cost to borrow average sits at 53.7%, cost to borrow max at 83.42%, and cost to borrow minimum at 37.33%. Also, you have a live short interest of 20.1% in live short interest as far as the shares that are sold short. This sits at 103.63 million shares, guys. So that is basically it. If you guys have not seen the last video, definitely watch that for more context on things outside of AMC that could affect the stock, like the FOMC minutes that does come out on Wednesday at 2 p.m. or the durable goods orders that also comes out on Wednesday. A couple of key earnings as well we talked about in the last video: Zoom, Dell, Monday and after hours. Tuesday pre-market, Best Buy, Dollar Tree, Dick's Sporting Goods. Tuesday after hours, Autodesk, HP, and Guess. Wednesday pre-market, you have John Deere, guys. So that is going to be all for this video. Just another reminder, I do think AMC, if it can break out above its 100-day moving average this week, could break the longer downtrend trend line that we do have drawn up right now, and that could also fuel some more upside from here. So I would put the price target really in between about $10 and $11.50. If we don't break above the 100-day, if we fall under the 50-day, that is going to be a very negative sign. I don't forecast that. I don't think that's going to happen. I think it's the least likely outcome, considering how strong we held above the 50-day over this last week. Nonetheless, Monday will be important. Every single day of this week will be important when you're talking about AMC. Now, you know what else is important is that you hit that like button and subscribe to the channel, and enjoy the rest of your weekends, guys. I will see you in the next one.